I get the impression that I'm not meant to like the principal and the pauper. Certainly it doesn't seem to be very well received. It might be the lowest rated on IMDb of all the ones I've reviewed. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it's 6.9 out of 10, which in theory is not a bad rating, but comparatively it's pretty poor. This is the second episode of the 9th season of The Simpsons, directed by Stephen Dean Moore. It aired in 1997. It starts off with Springfield Elementary having a celebration for Seymour Skinner for his service to the school. And it turns out that he is an imposter. And I don't want to say any more about that because that's kind of what the episode is unraveling. How he could be an imposter, how he could have got away with it for so long, who is the real Seymour Skinner, how did this happen? And I think the reason why it in theory shouldn't work is because we've built up a relationship with this character over so many seasons, and for somebody to actually pull the rug out from under our feet and say, that's not real, he's not true, this is not what the actual reality is, makes it very difficult, and it means that everything else is untrustworthy. And honestly, because it was so bizarre, and because it was so unexpected, I hadn't heard this plot before I watched this episode. I was genuinely really curious, and, I had questions like, well, how is he an imposter? Does that mean his mother isn't a Skinner? I had a lot of questions, and because of that, I was fascinated to keep watching it and to have answers to these questions, and to its credit, it did answer all of the questions that I had. That being said, this is not canon. What happens after this? Completely irrelevant. I don't know. I'm up to season 13. I don't know if they ever refer back to this. I think it's mentioned loosely once in like a clip show or something. But certainly this episode is a blip on the narrative. And of course it wouldn't have worked if they had to maybe change the character's name, or even, if they were going to get rid of him, then yes, maybe that would have worked if they were trying to get rid of the character. But certainly that's not what happens. I like it. I know I feel weird admitting that I like it because most of the responses are very critical of it and saying it's bizarre, it's ludicrous, it doesn't make sense, what are you doing? But at the end of the day, stirring up emotion in viewers is what making television is all about, even if that emotion is fury or frustration. But personally, as I said, I kind of liked it. I didn't, it's not my favourite episode, and I'm not wishing that they clung on to this for every episode thereafter. But it was different. It was unexpected. Certainly it was outrageous. And honestly, I think it's one I'm going to go back to quite a few times, because they dared to do something. For the most part, it may not have worked, but they were able to backtrack and just forget this episode ever existed, while still allowing us to enjoy it in its own entity. I know the principal and the pauper is not the most well-loved, but honestly, I really didn't mind it.